Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of Love is LaRonda. I know it's been a minute and it's really been on me a lot to do another episode, but it's just been, life. And sometimes I have to take a little sabbatical to, refocus and get myself together. But nevertheless, I don't think I'm ever going to just quit, but I just needed a break. But doing my break is never really a break. When I'm breaking, it's because I need to take time to focus, to rewind, and to hear. And so, for the past few weeks, it's just been something, I just been feeling like, Rhonda, you need to get on here and do another episode. And so I just decided that I'm going to jump on today and do one, which I supposed to been doing one before now. But I had the time today to just get in here and get one done. So I'm going to share what I've been kind of dealing with. Now remember that these things that I say is my personal journey. It is not for everybody. And everybody may not understand, and it's okay. I'm just sharing my personal journey to becoming that total package that I want to be. Becoming the definition of the lady that I see myself being. And so when we make goals and we want to strive for something different in life, we have to know what that looks like. And so that's where I am, just becoming. And so I just want to share some things that I've been learning about myself the past few weeks. And after the event, I went through a lot of reflection, but nevertheless, it's all well. And it ended up being a good event. And so I am so excited of the things that I'm planning to do and that's in my head that I want to do. So many of you know that I am a social worker. And I am a social worker by heart. Like, it's definitely my calling. And I love what I do. It's just in me. And so one of the things that social workers do is so broad. But one of the things that we do is we advocate and we empathize and we want to see change. And so I know, like, when I worked for CPS for those 11 years, we had something in CPS called a prevention case. And so with this prevention case, it was when we go into the home and we work with the parents and the children to make sure that the children did not come into CPS custody. And so with this, they had what we call a service plan. And in this service plan, it was a list of things that the parents had to do in order for their children not to come into CPS custody. If they fulfilled this service plan, then their case would be closed and their kids would remain with them, okay? But if they didn't complete the service plan, then there was a possibility that their children will be taken out of their home. But our first goal is, well, a lot of social workers, our first goal was to work with the parents to keep their children in their home. The first goal for CPS is not to take someone's child. And I know that there's been a lot of stuff about CPS just taking people's kids, but that's not the goal. Now, if it's a safety issue and the children just cannot remain in the home, then yes, that child may get taken that day. But for the most part, they open up what they call a prevention case. And with their obedience of completing their service plan, then they keep their children. It's to prevent the kids from coming into custody. And so another story is, I don't know, Mary, I went to get my yearly checkup. And so when I went to get my yearly checkup, the nurse tells me, you need to get a colonoscopy. Now, I'm not having any issues or I'm not having any trouble, but she says to me, you need to, get a colonoscopy. And so I was like, I don't want to get there, because I don't like being put to sleep. It's just something about being put to sleep that just doesn't sit well with me, and I don't like being put to sleep. So she goes on, I was like, okay, so I listened to her. And I was like, okay, so that day I was like, I really ain't finna pay attention to this because I really don't want to have this done. You know, I'm not having any issues. But the next day, it was like something is like, you need to call back and check on it, and you need to see, you know, about getting a colonoscopy. So I called her back, and I was like, well, you mentioned something about me getting a colonoscopy. How do I get it done? Do I call to set up the appointment, or you're going to call? She said, well, we will call and refer you, and then they will call you to set up you an appointment. I was like, okay, cool. So all that happened. So I went and I took the colonoscopy. I got my results back. Had I not went, the polyps that they removed from me had a possibility of becoming cancer. And so I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my goodness, had I not been obedient and continue to follow my mind and not get the colonoscopy, there's a possibility that I could have had colon cancer. But because I was obedient and went and had it done, the polyps were removed, and I'm good, I'm okay. And so I began to think, and I began to wonder, like, why is it that I haven't suffered through a lot of things that people suffer through? Now, I have suffered, but my stories don't compare to a lot of other people's stories. And so I began to wonder why. And then it hit me. Obedience leads to prevention. And obedience is not always easy. It's very hard, because sometimes you don't want to do those things because it requires something from you, and it takes something from you. But just like being one of those parents with CPS, when they have a service plan, they don't want to follow that service plan because it's making them do something that's out of their norm. But if they be obedient and follow that service plan, then they get to keep their children in their house. That's preventing those children coming into custody. Obedience. Just like me, had I not been obedient to what that nurse was saying to me, and I not went and took that colonoscopy, because in my mind, I'm fine, ain't nothing wrong with me. And those polyps could have continued to grow or whatever and turned into cancer. And then I'll be wondering, why is this happening to me? Had I not been obedient. So my message today is obedience is necessary for prevention. And if you don't want things to happen to you that's going to damage or destroy you, be obedient. And it's so much rebellion in the world that people just don't think that obedience means anything. But I'm here to tell you, it means a lot. It could be the very thing that saved your life. You just never know. So sometimes it's like you don't want to listen. You don't want to do that. You may not want to move. But if you feel something inside of you telling you to do something, be obedient. I truly believe that the word is right when it says, warning come before destruction. I believe that. But sometimes our ears are so closed that we can't hear beyond what's being said to see a bigger picture. Because we think just because something ain't wrong, that is right. And that's not always true. We have to pay attention and we have to listen to see why something is said to us and obey that word. Now, I ain't saying obey every word, because every word that's told to you ain't right. But when it's something for your benefit and you know it's for your benefit, if it's something for your health and you know it's for your health, listen and obey, because that is preventing you from having to suffer on down the line. And I realized something with me is that I have always been pretty much obedient to the things that I hear that I'm supposed to do. It wasn't always comfortable and it wasn't always satisfying, but I did it anyway because I felt like it was right for me, and I knew that it was going to benefit me in the long run some type of way. Even when I didn't understand it, I still followed through. And so my encouragement for you today on this episode of Love is LaRonda, be obedient. Follow the directions that's going to bring you to something better. It does not always feel good, but sit with yourself to see how can this benefit my life and how can I move forward with this information that's going to help me in the long run. Now, you know when you're getting information that's good for you, and you know when you're getting information that's not so good. So follow those things that you know is good to help you prevent something more damaging later on in life. Remember, obedience is the key to prevention. And prevention, being proactive, may be the very thing that saves your life from hurt, pain, damage, destruction, turmoil, whatever in the long run, okay? I love y'all. Y'all have an amazing day and be blessed.